I transmigrated into the vicious female supporting character in a palace intrigue novel. The system tasked me with winning over the dog emperor to avoid my entire family's tragic demise, but all I want to do is slack off. During the morning greetings, I thought, getting up earlier than I do for work. I'd rather hang myself at the Empress Dowager's palace gate tomorrow. The Empress Dowager's hand trembled as she held her tea, and the next day, she exempted me from the morning greetings. During the palace banquet, I didn't eat enough. The dishes didn't look as delicious as those on the dog emperor's table. I want to die. I'll hang myself when I go back tonight. The emperor paused while picking up food and quickly bestowed several dishes upon me. It was only later that I found out the two most powerful people in the palace could hear my inner thoughts. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. After finally working myself to death from overtime, I thought I had at last escaped the fate of being an overworked laborer. Little did I know, I would end up bound by a system. The system transported me into a palace intrigue novel, where I am a domineering noble consort who relies on her family's influence to act arrogantly. I know, the Hua Fei archetype, right? Who hasn't watched Empresses in the Palace? The system explained that it's pretty much like that. But my task is to make the dog emperor fall in love with me, thereby avoiding the fate of my entire family being wiped out. I lay down on the bed. I can't do it. Find someone else. The system said, either do it, or die. Hearing this, I could no longer sit still. I quickly called the palace maid to bring me all the joss paper from the harem, write my name on all of them and burn them. The system asked me what I was doing, and I said it's called provisions go before troops and horses. Didn't you say it's do or die? When are you going to die? Can you hurry up? I'm in a rush. I'm afraid I won't receive the paper money in time. The system gritted its teeth and bargained with me, described to me all the benefits of being an imperial consort. I was silent for a long moment. The way you paint such a rosy picture reminds me of the HR who recruited me back then. With that, I kicked off my shoes and lay down on the bed to sleep. My quilt, my sweet, cozy burial shroud. I don't care about ruining my image or not. The sooner I die, the sooner I'll be reborn. I woke up to find it was already dark outside. I rubbed my empty stomach and called for dinner: stir-fried pork with lotus root, cherry pork, braised shark fin, and 8 treasure duck. Alright, for the sake of food, I'll live one more day. I was a bit too full after dinner and was strolling in the yard to digest when Su Gong Gong, the chief eunuch by the dog emperor's side, came to tell me that the dog emperor wouldn't be coming over tonight. Me, oh, come or not, whatever. Eunuch Su was embarrassed for a moment. Your Highness, please forgive me. His Majesty is preoccupied with state affairs and did not intentionally neglect to visit you. Oh, none of my damn business. Thinking I was upset, Eunuch Su scurried away dejectedly. The system seized the opportunity to suggest that this was a chance to curry favor with the damn emperor by bringing him some soup or tea to win his goodwill. I shook my head in refusal and threatened the system to play 2 episodes of a TV show for me. The system told me to stop dreaming. I took off my belt and started hanging it from the ceiling beam. Life is boring. Goodbye. The system let out a sharp, piercing sound. Come on down, dear sir, I'll let you off. I watched 2 episodes of a cheesy drama and slept soundly. How wonderful. There will never be a client calling me in the middle of the night to get up and revise a proposal again. Too naive. The moment I was dragged out of my blanket by the palace maid after 4 in the morning, I realized how naive I had been. Although there was no empress in the harem, there was still the Empress Dowager, a formidable presence. Perhaps she slept less due to her old age. She couldn't sleep herself. And she wouldn't let others sleep either. She made all the palace concubines get up early every day to pay their respects to her. My chief maid, Lianji, while adjusting my dress, reminded me that as a noble consort, I especially needed to arrive early to set an example for the other concubines. I wanted to say, bullshit. Back in the day, my boss always arrived later than me, left earlier, did less work, and ate more. To set an example, that's wanting to be the queen. Do I want to? I don't want to. Otherwise, maybe I should just hang myself. But now, with everyone watching, it might not be possible. Have to wait until evening to return. Although riding in a sedan chair, at 4 in the morning in the dead of winter, It was cold enough to freeze one to death. The charcoal brazier in the hall had been lit but hadn't warmed up yet. With my groggy mind, I paid my respects to the Empress Dowager and then sat there spacing out. The Emperor is still young. And the female lead won't enter the palace until the imperial selection a year later. There are indeed few concubines in the palace, but listening to them exchange meaningless words back and forth annoys me. Damn it, what's the difference between this and a work meeting? I want to die, 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 I want to die. Can't wait until tonight. I want to die right now. The system told me to stop spamming, it's getting annoyed. But I couldn't help it. At this moment, the Empress Dowager, who had been silent all along, suddenly spoke up. Is the noble consort troubled by something lately? Why not share it with me? Don't keep it bottled up alone. The concubines exchanged glances and then began to flatter me again, one after another. There's no need for that. I stared at the Empress Dowager, thinking she looked a bit like my grandmother when she was young. I am well, thank you for your concern, Your Majesty. Well, my ass, not well at all. I woke up earlier than I do for work. If I have to get up this early again tomorrow, I'll hang myself at the entrance of the Empress Dowager's palace. The Empress Dowager's hand trembled slightly as she held her teacup. She looked at me with a doubtful and uneasy gaze. I nodded with a smile, but she seemed as if she had been startled by something. Hastily making an excuse that she had matters to attend to, she dismissed all the consorts. Not long after returning, I received several pieces of jewelry bestowed by the Empress Dowager, along with a notice exempting me from morning greetings. The system prompted me to use my brain and dig into the deeper meaning behind the Empress Dowager exempting me from paying respects. I waved my hand and got into bed. I'm not taking the civil service exam. Man is iron, and the bed is a magnet. Time to sleep. The day had been quite perfect. But then in the evening, Eunuch Su came again. He said the dog emperor would be coming over today. I have to serve him in bed. Ha 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 ha. I can't go on living. Just as I was about to put the rope around my neck and hang myself, the system said, it is a grave crime for a concubine to commit suicide. Your entire family will be implicated and put to death because of you. I tied the knot in the rope. As long as I have no morals, no one can use morality to bind me. Please kick the stool away for me. Thank you. The system is clearly in a panic. After all, this is a sweet, romantic palace intrigue novel. How could the male lead be anything less? I pondered for a few seconds. Is he good in bed? The first 10 years of my life were spent struggling to survive, and the next 10 years were spent paying off debts. I've never experienced it in all these years. The system blushed. It should be, not bad. As we were talking, the dog emperor came in. I didn't offer greetings or speak, just stared intently at his face. Everyone likes good-looking people, and I'm no exception. This dog emperor had highbrow bones, a straight-nosed bridge, deep-set eyes, and a well-defined face. He did have some charm. He raised an eyebrow in response to my gaze. My beloved consort, why do you look at me this way? I just feel that Your Majesty is exceptionally handsome today. A small thrill surged within me, and I silently marveled to myself. He is indeed handsome, no loss to sleep with, just looks a bit thin and weak, not sure if he has an 8-pack, and how good he is in bed. As soon as I finished speaking, the emperor, who had been smirking, suddenly stiffened his smile. He looked at me with a deep, intense gaze. I've been neglecting you lately due to state affairs, my beloved consort. Are you angry? I said that state affairs come first, but what I was really thinking was, it's better if he doesn't come. If he does, I'll have to be polite with him. The emperor's mouth twitched as he continued with his routine concern. I responded with nothing but oh, yes, and pretty good, but inside, I was wildly complaining to the system. Is he from Dunhuang? So many murals on him, one word, just do it. I heard men start going downhill after 25, if I remember correctly. The dog emperor just turned 20 this year, so young and already failing. How pitiful. Sigh. Since I'm going to die anyway, maybe I should try an 18-year-old guard before I go. I don't know which of my words went wrong, but the emperor's expression grew increasingly unpleasant. Just as I thought he was about to turn and leave in anger, he suddenly scooped me up into his arms. Then, through gritted teeth, he whispered in my ear, "Today, I will make my beloved consort see for herself whether I am capable or not. Something doesn't seem quite right here. Before I could think it through, the dog emperor's lips pressed against mine. Oh, so soft. During a cooking competition, it's usually quiet. But as a beginner, I needed the dog emperor to guide me through each dish. But who would have thought his cooking skills weren't that great either? My mind began to flash wildly with the explicit stories I had read before, swallowing her moans whole, crashing against the headboard, shattering into pieces. But to my surprise, no matter what I thought, the damned emperor started doing exactly that. As if he could read my mind. The key point is that he was blushing while doing it, while it was simmering over low heat. I couldn't resist. In a moment of excitement, I slapped his butt with a smack. I apologized. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Your humble servant. Inner thoughts. I hit him. So what? Gonna kill me? Gotta say, the feel is quite bouncy and elastic. Hurry up. Is the damn emperor even capable or not? Then the damn emperor suddenly acted like he was on drugs. Start the crazy attack. Stir-fry me with high heat like a small dish. At first, I was obsessed with male charm, saying one thing but meaning another, verbally saying, no more, I can't take it anymore. Inside, damn, it really feels good. More. Gradually, I became more honest with my feelings. Damn, the emperor is really something else. Help, this is way too good. At the moment we reached the peak, the emperor leaned over me and gently kissed my cheek. Feeling utterly blissful, I politely kissed him back while unconsciously humming a song in my heart. The horse-taming man, you are mighty and strong, the galloping steed swift as the wind. Yo, who is singing, warming the loneliness? The next second, the dog emperor spoke with a uniquely hoarse voice, the kind that comes after the act. Stop singing. What's going on? Can he hear my thoughts? After 3 seconds of nonchalant eye contact, the dog emperor said the parrot in the outer hall was too noisy and told eunuch Su to take it out first. That parrot is called Xiaoqi, gifted by the Empress Dowager a couple of days ago, supposedly to keep me company. I occasionally play with it for fun. When Xiaoqi was taken away, it was still chattering loudly. Can you talk? Say something. Let me hear. The dog emperor stared at me intently and said word by word, all that bird talk, chirping and chattering is quite annoying. Oh, so it wasn't about me. It was about the parrot. But did Xiaoqi just bark? Never mind. It doesn't matter. I wearily rubbed my sore lower back. The suspicious system suggested I test whether the dog emperor could hear my thoughts. I pulled the blanket over my head. So what if you hear me? I'll sing if I want to. What are you gonna do? Kill me? I rolled further into the bed, wrapping myself in the blanket. While the damned emperor behind me gave a half-hearted tug or two, I held the edges of the blanket down tightly. I thought to myself, he's so annoying. He's stealing the blanket. I'm getting up in the middle of the night to hang myself. The dog emperor withdrew his hand, sighed helplessly, and ordered the palace maid to fetch another blanket. By the time I woke up the next day, it was already noon. Opening my eyes, I saw Lianji looking at me with an indescribable expression. I have something to say, but I don't know if I should say it. Then don't say it. I have something to say, but I don't know if I should say it. Then don't say it. I have something to say, but I don't know if I should say it. Me, Lianji. Are you stuck? Lianji twitched the corner of her mouth and didn't respond, instead saying what she shouldn't have said. This morning, when the dog emperor was going to court, I should have gotten up to help him dress and then reluctantly watched him leave. But today, I stayed curled up under the covers, holding my head and complaining of a stomachache, refusing to get up no matter what. In the end, the dog emperor looked at me resentfully as I slept soundly in bed, and went off to the morning court full of grievances. I heard that he scared all the civil and military officials so much that they didn't dare to breathe loudly. Indeed, no one actually enjoys going to work. I smacked my lips. Lianji, what's for breakfast today? I feel like having steamed shrimp dumplings, crab roe soup buns, and pork tenderloin pancakes. Before I could finish, Lianji cut me off in frustration. Your Highness, that's not what I meant to say. What I meant is that the imperial harem still has no heir. If you were more attentive, the emperor would remember your kindness, visit more often, and once you conceive the royal heir, your status in the harem would be secure. I looked at Lianji with surprise and doubt. Lianji trembled all over and was about to kneel, but I spoke up. Lianji, have you been eating too many rolled pancakes lately? So competitive, so career-driven. But sorry, your lady just wants to slack off, either slack off or die. So I turned a deaf ear. Can you serve me breakfast now, Lianji? The Empress Dowager exempted me from morning greetings, and the Dog Emperor was too busy with state affairs to frequent the harem. I comfortably slacked off for 2 months, and in the blink of an eye. It was the New Year's Eve palace banquet. On the day of the minor New Year, the Emperor hosted a banquet for his ministers in the palace. As the highest-ranking consort in the palace, I was supposed to organize the event, but I told him I was unwell and couldn't handle it. The system wanted me to seize the opportunity to showcase my exceptional organizational skills and let the Dog Emperor see my strengths. I looked up at the roof beam, and it instantly fell silent. Working is impossible. Not a single bit of it. On the day of the palace banquet, I was bundled up like a ball, yawning as I waited for the food to be served, while listening to the Dog Emperor and his ministers flatter each other. Out of sheer boredom, I turned my gaze to the Dog Emperor, perhaps to match the occasion. He wore a red dragon robe today, with a black cloak adorned with dark gold patterns draped over it. The collar was trimmed with fur of the same color, making his face appear even more jade-like and handsome. Not gonna lie, this damn emperor is quite good-looking. Look at him, he even has dimples when he smiles. I propped my chin on my hand, my gaze completely unabashed. The damn emperor seemed to glance at me subtly. I paid no mind and continued chatting with the system in my head. But who would have thought that someone who looks so refined could be so fierce in bed? It's just that he only knows how to go at it roughly. His technique is nothing special. As I was thinking this, a thunderous fit of coughing suddenly erupted from the head of the table. Turns out, the Dog Emperor had choked on his wine. But what did he mean by glaring at me with a red face? Ridiculous. Just then, the dishes for the palace banquet were served. For the sake of presentation, most of the dishes were deep-fried, but once the cold wind blew, they were impossible to eat. I put down my chopsticks and rubbed my growling stomach. I'm not full, I'm just not full at all. The food doesn't even look as good as the hot pot on the Emperor's table. Does he want to starve me to death? Well, no need to trouble him, I'll just hang myself when I go back tonight. No, I'm too hungry. I can't wait until tonight. Maybe I should just dash my head against the wall and die right now. I looked around and was just about to get up after finding a good spot when a young eunuch came running over with 2 hot pots, saying they were a reward from the Emperor. I looked up and met the Dog Emperor's complicated gaze. I gave him a sweet smile, and he averted his eyes, still acting all tsunder. The palace banquet was halfway through, and the ministers were getting a bit drunk. A bearded old man suddenly stood up and proposed that the Emperor take an empress. I wasn't interested at first, but why are you looking at me while you're talking, old man? I asked the system. Who is this reckless old man? The system said, your dad. I fell silent for a moment, my mind racing with furious complaints. Be an empress. I don't want to be an empress. Being an empress means waking up early every day and having to manage accounts and check the books. What kind of 6 a.m. grind is that? I won't do it. Make me the queen, and I'll take leave every day. When you encounter difficulties, just sleep them off. If you can't solve them, just hang it up. Thinking of this, without waiting for the Dog Emperor to speak, I immediately stood up and said, I propose that whoever gives birth to a child shall become the empress. My father looked at me with a hint of confusion. The Dog Emperor slightly curled his lips. The noble consort speaks wisely. A storm was averted without a trace. I picked up the wine and took a big gulp. Nothing beats slacking off over a promotion. This fruit wine is actually quite tasty. After a while, Eunuch Su came to invite me to sit next to the Dog Emperor. I staggered to my feet, my mind already starting to wander wildly. Is the annual party about to end? Time to toast the leader. Where did I leave off in the storybook yesterday? It seems like the female lead was protecting the male lead. Wuming Mountains connect beyond the mountains. Moonlight spills over the Xiangshui beach. Eunuch Su noticed I was a bit drunk and came over to support me. No sooner had I stepped onto the platform and approached the Dog Emperor than an assassin struck. Amid the gaudily dressed dancers, a man suddenly leaped out, shouting, Die, Dog Emperor, my brain, which had turned into a jujube. raced for a second before I resolutely shielded the dog emperor. With my eyes closed, what flashed through my mind wasn't my life, but some inexplicable wild imaginings. He smiled at me, and I'd give my life for him. In the end, Zhuangju dreamed of a butterfly. You are both a blessing and a curse, Your Majesty. I take my leave. This departure is for a lifetime. For the rest of your days, take good care of yourself, before losing consciousness. The panicked voice of the dog emperor filled my ears. He said, Zhu Ziyun, don't die. I seem to have had a long dream. In the dream, I was stuck in a sealed container where the temperature was just right, with food and drink provided. The only thing was, every day a man would pace back and forth in front of me, muttering these words over and over. Don't die, please don't die. I was a bit moved, straining my eyes to see his face clearly. To my surprise, it was actually the damned emperor. I jolted awake in fright. Opening my eyes, I saw the dog emperor sitting by my bedside, fuming with anger. I told you to go and brew the ginseng soup. So hurry up, what are you all dawdling for? But Your Majesty, the noble consort only has a small scratch. If we wait any longer, the wound will have healed. Perhaps it would be better to give her a bowl of sobering soup instead. The dog emperor turned his gaze toward me. I quickly pretended to have just woken up, mumbling, water, water. He promptly helped me sit up and took the water handed over by Lianji. Who asked you to block for me? Do you think all those guards are just for show? That they'd need a drunkard like you? Next time something like this happens, run as far as you can. Oh, and, your feelings. I understand. Me, after everyone had left, the system popped up and asked if I was deliberately trying to get myself killed. I argued back. I'm clearly putting in serious effort to win him over. Look, doesn't this dog emperor have a soft spot for me? And even if I really died, wouldn't it indirectly protect my family? The system scratched its head. What you said makes so much sense. I can't even argue with it. But I never expected that the words I used to brush off the system would actually come true. Since the assassination attempt, the Mad Emperor has been coming to my palace every day for some unknown reason. At first, I pretended to be polite. But later I couldn't be bothered and started reading storybooks right in front of him without any restraint. Sometimes he brings his memorials to review. Other times he just reads leisure books beside me. But what never fails to happen every day is an hour of aerobic exercise before bed. Every time it makes me feel like life isn't worth living. I wish I could hang myself by his bedside in the middle of the night just to make him stop. And after it's over, he still gets handsy, either playing with my hair or stroking my face. It annoys me to no end. The system was quite pleased with this. It specially rewarded me with a few adult comics to study the mysteries of life. It thought that if the dog emperor slept with me more often, he might just fall in love. I couldn't be bothered to mock its simple mind. But then again, the dog emperor comes so frequently and hasn't taken any measures yet. Which really worries me. System, give me some childproof pills. The system hesitated for a few seconds, as if thinking, just as I was about to go swing on the roof. It decisively gave me the medicine. I look at the small pill that appeared in my hand. Do I just take it directly? The system, yes, take it after each time you finish. Oh, when the dog emperor came over tonight, I was also reading a romance novel. It was an ancient-style story about chasing an ex-wife to the crematorium. It incorporates various elements such as body doubles, feigned death, and childbirth. The main theme revolves around the male lead relentlessly hurting the female lead. But with hidden reasons. When I saw the plot where the female lead, heartbroken, gives birth and fakes her death, my face scrunched up like a meme. In all angst-filled stories, the male lead's mouth is just for show. He always ends up obsessed with what he can't have or what is lost forever. As for the female lead, giving birth is as easy as taking a dump for her, and she often doesn't finish in one go, frequently delivering one child on the spot and another while faking her death and escaping. The system ignored me, but the dog emperor not far away chuckled. I looked up in confusion. He was seriously staring at the memorial, a trace of lingering amusement still on his face. I really admire him for being able to laugh while working, when it was almost time to sleep. He suddenly went crazy again for some reason. She insisted on pulling me up to do my eyebrows. With my hair down, I curled up on the couch, my face full of resistance. Tomorrow, let's do it tomorrow morning. The dog emperor paused. Tomorrow morning. It suddenly dawned on me that usually when he leaves, I'm still asleep, and by the time he returns from court, I might have already finished breakfast. I looked at his face, the classic, devilishly handsome look of an old-school romance novel male lead. While I kept refusing with my words, my heart was thinking, if he begs me, it might not be entirely out of the question. But the next moment, the dog emperor cleared his throat and actually said, "My dear noble consort, I beg you, Tilda." The emperor's coquettish tone, combined with his appearance, created a unique and charming contrast. For a moment, I was captivated by his charm and obediently sat down in front of the bronze mirror. He gently lifted my chin, and my eyelashes fluttered slightly as I gazed at his focused face. Come to think of it, he was only 20 years old, and I was a few years older than him before I time-traveled. I guess I've managed to get myself some young grass. The system chimed in at the right moment. Host, look, the dog emperor is actually quite good. You should work hard. My initially stirred feelings completely vanished upon hearing the words work hard. Work hard? What does that even mean? Working hard is like a slave doing double the work. The former corporate slave worker immediately got PTSD. I just realized, if sleeping with the emperor is the job of the imperial concubines, then haven't I been working overtime all these days? And there's no overtime pay either. The system was dumbfounded. But host, you said it felt pretty good yesterday. That's different. Just then, the dog emperor put down the eyebrow pencil with satisfaction and gestured for me to look in the mirror. When I saw the originally well-shaped willow leaf eyebrows drawn to look like Crayon Shin-chan's, my mind started scrolling through comments again. My eyebrows are so ugly. I want to die, die, die. Overtime is so annoying. I want to die, die, die. Why does that damn emperor keep coming? I want to die, die, die. The system panicked and screamed, urging me to calm down. Even the expression of the dog emperor changed. He asked with a hint of hurt, "Is it really that ugly? I am doing this for the first time, drawing eyebrows for someone." I looked at him expressionlessly, thinking silently in my heart, he better disappear right now, or I'll hang myself after waking up from my nap and having lunch. The emperor left. His face flushed with shame and anger. I had the big bed all to myself. Good night, world, except for the dog emperor and the stupid system. After that day, the dog emperor didn't come again for half a month. I eat, sleep, and read storybooks every day, occasionally threatening the system to stream a few episodes of cheesy dramas for me. Life couldn't be more enjoyable. After finishing my meal that day, I noticed the sunlight outside was just right, so I called Lianji to go for a stroll. Just as we reached the imperial garden, we ran into the bejeweled and radiant consort Li. She paid her respects, and I nodded in acknowledgement. I thought we would just exchange pleasantries and then go our separate ways, remaining good colleagues. I never expected that Lady Li would suddenly provoke me as if she had lost her mind. I thought her ladyship would gain more favor with her family background, but it hasn't been long, and who would have thought the emperor wouldn't even come to the harem anymore? It's one thing for her ladyship to fall out of favor, but she shouldn't have dragged us down with her. After saying that, she stared at me intently, a strange and excited glint flashing in her eyes. I looked at her in amazement. The last time I saw such a huge leap in challenging someone of a higher rank was in a fantasy novel, but she picked the right person to mess with. There's no way I'm engaging in palace intrigue. If you insist on fighting me, there's no need to go through all that trouble. I can just hang myself. I yawned and stretched, agreeing with what she said. Then I intended to just pass by her and forget each other in the vast sea of people. Unexpectedly, Lady Li was stunned for a moment. Then her expression turned very anxious. To pick a fight, she even blatantly stuck out her leg to trip me. Caught off guard, I fell flat on my face. With the thick winter clothes and the light snow from last night, I didn't feel any pain when I hit the ground. The sun felt warm on my body. All because I forced the system to play those cheesy dramas until the early hours last night. At that moment, I was overwhelmed with sleepiness, so my eyelids grew heavy. And I decided to just fall asleep right where I had stumbled, completely unaware that the harem had fallen into chaos because of it. They all said that Consort Li had kicked me to death. I woke up to find that it was already dark outside. The bedchamber was dimly lit, and I snuggled under the quilt, letting out a couple of comfortable hums. Awake, the voice of the damned emperor suddenly rang out, startling me. Before I could speak, he snorted and said, "You're quite the carefree one." Able to fall asleep even after taking a tumble, I felt a bit embarrassed and tried to defend myself. Is it possible that I was unconscious? Who snores when they're unconscious? Cannot refute. I had just finished discussing matters in the study, and as soon as I stepped out, I heard that noble consort Li kicked the imperial consort to death in the imperial garden. I summoned all the imperial physicians from the imperial hospital, and they all said you were in perfect health, just asleep. Oh this. Before I could hang myself, I died of social embarrassment first. My gaze wandered. What about noble consort Li? Under house arrest, after all, it's a case of a subordinate offending a superior. Oh, well, since it's late at night, I won't see your majesty off. I turned over, intending to go back to sleep. Unexpectedly, the dog emperor suddenly got angry. Zhu Ziyun, can't you be a bit more careful? Snacks? What snacks? At this, the dog emperor was completely speechless. But even if you're angry, don't pull on my clothes. Hey, take it easy. I can't take it lightly at all. I looked up at the swaying bed curtains and thought, has the dog emperor gotten better at this? Did he practice with another concubine? The next second, he gently bit my earlobe. He whispered in my ear, I ask you, what is my name? Oh this. I quickly squinted my eyes, pretending to be dazed with infatuation. The dog emperor laughed in exasperation. Remember this well, I am Li Changxian. Stop calling me dog emperor, and I've been busy with court affairs these past few days. My progress is due to my strong learning ability, so cut out your baseless assumptions. Can he hear me? Xianyo, smack, a slap landed on my butt. Don't shout nonsense. Oh. Early the next morning, before I was even fully awake, the dog emperor went to the morning court session. While the palace defenses were lax, Lady Li quietly slipped inside. She dropped to her knees with a thud in front of my bed, startling me awake. Sister supporting character. I beg you, just kill me. I sat up, wrapped in my blanket. Are you a transmigrator too? Her expression went blank for a moment. You too? No wonder. Afterwards, the two of us had a friendly conversation. It turned out that the character she had transmigrated into was a cannon fodder who had died by my hand, according to the original plot. She should have been executed by me that day in the Imperial Garden. I asked her if she could go back after dying, and she shook her head, indicating that she didn't know either. I'd rather hang myself than kill someone. I just can't do it. Noble consort Li, failing in her attempt to die, left in disappointment. The system asked me, why is it that neither of you wants to live? I said, often, people don't want to die, they just don't want to live the way they are right now. As for me, I've completely lost my drive. My parents divorced when I was very young, and they each went on to form new families, so I was passed around, becoming an unwanted child. In the end, it was my grandmother in the countryside who took me in. Life with grandma wasn't wealthy, but it was warm and peaceful, and she loved me dearly. It would have been nice if things could have stayed that way. Sadly, the year I started college, grandma fell ill. To get medical treatment, I borrowed money from all my relatives and friends. Later, my grandmother passed away, but the debts remained. The day I died suddenly, I had just paid off the last debt. At the moment of death, I only felt relief. Alone I came, alone I depart. The system fell silent for a moment before saying, but host, there are so many sights in this world you haven't seen, so many delicacies you haven't tasted, and so many 18-year-old guards you haven't slept with. You could have a little more to look forward to. I nodded. That's why I'm trying my best to live. It's only when I can't eat or sleep well that I think about dying. By the way, system, since I'm so pitiful, could you give me a couple more adult comics? System, the Imperial Palace is such a small place. Staying here for too long gets boring. Occasionally, I go to bother the Empress Dowager. After going there many times, I discovered a little secret of hers. She seems to particularly enjoy farming, but to maintain her status, she could only farm in secret. I found it endearing, so I visited even more frequently. The system reminded me, as the champion of the last palace intrigue, She managed to put her non-biological son on the throne and made the dog emperor so filial to her. She must be quite cunning. I waved my hand indifferently. If I live, I live. If I die, I die. No big deal. I smiled and agreed to the Empress Dowager's invitation to stay for dinner, but I never expected that this one bite would lead to a huge incident. Among the dishes served by the palace maid, there was one that tasted exactly like the ones my grandmother used to make. I immediately burst into tears with a loud cry. The Empress Dowager flusteredly asked me what was wrong. I pointed at the dish, crying too hard to speak. Her expression changed. Is it that bad? I shook my head, thinking to myself, Grandma, oh grandma, I miss you so much, To my surprise, the next moment, I heard the Empress Dowager tentatively call out, Yunbao, there is only one person in the world who would call me Yunbao. She said I wasn't an unwanted piece of trash, I was her treasure. And so, everyone outside the hall heard the Empress Dowager and me suddenly burst into tears in each other's arms. After the meal, Grandma told me how, after her illness and passing, she transmigrated into one of the late Emperor's consorts, and how she saved the 8-year-old Li Changxian from the cold palace. I was thinking at the time, such a young child, just the same age as our Yunbao when she came to me. I told Grandma that I died from overwork. It made her so heartbroken that she kept patting my back. By the way, Yunbao, I always hear you saying in your heart things like I want to die or something. If you have something on your mind, tell Grandma, don't keep it bottled up. We've finally reunited, you mustn't think of doing anything foolish. You can also hear what I'm saying in my heart. After receiving a positive reply, I was so embarrassed that I could have dug out a new palace with my toes. Then I repeatedly promised not to do anything foolish. My attitude towards life has become much more positive, and the frequency of wanting to hang myself has significantly decreased, and with my grandmother backing me up, I could strut through the entire harem without a care. The only annoying thing was that the dog emperor always looked at me with a resentful gaze. Even my grandmother noticed something was off. She asked me with a smile behind the scenes, "What do you think of Li Changxian?" she said. "I've watched Changxian grow up since he was a child. I won't say anything else, but he definitely has a good heart. When he was little, I taught him to be devoted in relationships. All these years, he hasn't had a girl he liked. How do I tell Grandma that the first time we met, he slept with me? Oh, no need to tell her. I accidentally said it out loud in my mind. Sigh, it's like the awkward feeling of being caught by your parents while watching adult content. But seeing the dog emperor being chased and beaten by the grandmother all over the palace, I feel balanced again. Hehe. On the day of the Lantern Festival, Li Changxian probably received some advice. He came to invite me to go out of the palace.
Not the same thing, and this time, when Li Changxian wrote to me, I thought he was going to say we should break up. Never in my wildest dreams did I expect. He actually said that he is pregnant. Me, a man, he is pregnant. At first, I thought he was lying to trick us into going back, until I remembered the little pill the system had given me. So, you gave me a fertility drug. The system remained silent for a long moment before admitting it had played a little trick. I never expected you to actually give the medicine to the damn emperor. Or should I have taken it myself? What if it messed up my period and gave me stomach pains? But come to think of it, the medicine the system provided is pretty potent. Now look what happened, I've ended up making someone pregnant, and now I'm expected to take responsibility. By the time we rushed back to the capital, Li Changxuan's belly had already slightly bulged. Seeing me, his eyes reddened. "Zhu Ziyun, look at the good you've done." Him saying such things to me with that devilishly charming male lead face really made it hard for me to handle. I patiently coaxed and comforted him over and over. On the day of the birth, all the palace servants who could be dismissed were sent away. Li Changxian gritted his teeth and labored for a full 2 hours. After giving birth, his lips moved slightly, and I leaned in to listen. He said, "Thank goodness it wasn't you." All right, I admit you've got me beat." Later, I asked Li Changxian if giving birth was very painful. He stubbornly insisted, "A mere bit of pain. As the ruler of a nation, I don't even take it seriously." "Then why were you screaming that day? Is it not allowed to liven things up?" "Very well, Your Majesty, then let's have another boy." Li Changxian silently pulled over the blanket. I burst out laughing. The little bird outside the hall chirped incessantly, stubborn sunder, ding dong. The system has detected that the host's task is complete. automatic detachment in 3 seconds, system, finally, I can get off work. Extra chapter Empress Diary. When I was young, I often had a dream where I wore a white work uniform and stood before a sealed container every day, praying that the thing inside wouldn't die, but sadly, sometimes I would glance at that container one too many times. The next day, the thing inside died. Who understands that feeling of despair, helplessness, and pain? As I grew older, I gradually buried that dream in my memory, until one day, I could hear the thoughts of the imperial consort. Eating poorly makes me want to die. Sleeping poorly makes me want to die. If I try too hard, I want to die. If I don't try at all, I still want to die. That familiar feeling is back again, even if I die. She must not die. I never expected her to care for me so deeply. Not only did she reclaim the power to appoint the Empress for me, but she even stood in front of me when there was danger. She is so devoted. I adore her so much. I will never let her down. I like her so much. I must go to see her every day. My cooking skills must have improved a lot. She is so considerate, always bringing me water to drink after cooking. The water she brings is always sweet. Minister Zhong is showing off his affection for me in the memorial again. Who doesn't have a wife? I shall now draw the eyebrows for my noble consort. Got kicked out. Miserable. What? The imperial consort was kicked to death by noble Lady Li. Thank goodness, it was just a false alarm. So frustrating. Today, I must turn the stove up to the highest heat when cooking. My imperial consort has hooked up with my mother, the Empress Dowager. My mother treats her even better than she treats me. And the consort has settled in there and refuses to leave. I can't even hold her hand. Sigh. I got beaten. I am a strong man. Even when being beaten, I must keep a cold face and never lose my dignity. The Empress Dowager advised me to take the imperial consort out for fun. Want to hold hands? Didn't succeed. Pull it again. Sigh. Still didn't work. Pull it again. Success. Oh, asterisk asterisk. I can't bring myself to confess. And the fireworks aren't pretty at all. She is beautiful. It turns out she wanted monogamy. No problem. I can dismiss the harem for her. I'm pregnant. Damn imperial physician. I'll have your head. Whatever. I am not a tyrant. Zhu Ziyun. Get back here at once. It hurts. It hurts so much. If it were the imperial consort lying here, she'd probably want to hang herself again. Ah. Luckily it's me. Having another child is out of the question. I won't be having any in this lifetime.